Elemental Shaman has been massively simplified in Midnight, but also has an engaging playstyle with a bit of skill expression. I know there is a divide in the player base at the moment as to what the game should be like. So let me tell you about how it already hit the perfect mark, the balance between complex and simple with Elemental by going through its changes, talents, playstyles, and overall vibes. This video has been made possible through the support of our patrons. It helps to know we have a backbone of people that like our content and are willing to go the extra mile to help us make things happen. If you enjoy this video series and want to help your boys here cover all alpha specs, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Marcelian&Flame. We also give out some goodies to our patrons like custom-made wallpapers with your favorite tune. Thank you so much. The base concept of Elemental has not changed whatsoever. You will want to generate Maelstrom with the same spells: Lava Burst, Lightning Bolt, and Chain Lightning, primarily, and spend it on Earth Shocks or Earthquakes. Your main offensive cooldowns are still Stormkeeper and Ascendant, and, well, actually, some of them have been deleted. Liquid Magma Totem and Primordial Wave have been replaced with Voltaic Blaze and its capstones that make you apply Flame Shock in AoE and buff your next Lava Burst to hit all Flame Shock targets. This was in response to players not having a great way to multi-dot targets with Flame Shock and to give you a small target AoE cleave output outside spamming Chain Lightning and Earthquakes and using two different cooldowns. There are a few talents missing at this point to see if there's more purpose to these outside just dealing some AoE damage and looking cool as all hell. Storm Elemental has also changed. It's no longer a choice node with Fire Elemental, but rather a summoned pet every time you use Stormkeeper. I actually like this concept even more since, I have to say, I really missed seeing my Fire Elemental next to me and the strength to Flame Shock it usually gives. That makes a lot of Flame Shock talents interesting once again, which synergizes with both sides of the talent tree. The Icefury gameplay is also gone and replaced now with a new buff you get that you don't really need to track. Power of the Maelstrom on the left side makes you want to cast Lava Bursts in AoE as well, since it goes into fusion of the elements to cast our free elemental blast. There's no more weaving a nature and fire spell. Although that gameplay was more interesting, it did add up on the top of a lot of other mini gameplays that Elemental was juggling, making it either unintuitive or just a bit too much. Now, that gameplay is simply around you using Lava Burst occasionally, which is more core to what Elemental wants to do than anything else, and we can talk about this and how it plays a bit later. We don't have the Apex talents for Elemental at this point, and there are 4 more talent nodes missing, one of which is Deeply Rooted Elements. We don't know yet what they plan to do with it and how it will activate, or even if we will still get it, so there's still more to come. We will likely have to revisit this later in the testing cycle. For the hero talents, Farseer has received only 1 change outside the 3 missing nodes we don't currently have. Ancestors will no longer be summoned by Primordial Wave, but instead Stormkeeper, and they last 8 seconds instead of the current 6. If the other hero talent nodes added to other classes are of any indication, it is likely these will be a combination of the current tier set and some passive damage amps, maybe a defensive node, because we also lost Stone Bulwark Totem. On that note, Earth Elemental has also been reduced to 3 minutes in response for this, and for now we are still missing about 3 nodes from the class tree. That could be anything, on top of a lot of pruning done there as well. One such pruning is with Wind Shear and Interrupts as a whole in the game, where the cooldown has been increased, but also the interrupt effect lasts longer on enemies now, so you have to kick less. The damage reduction it used to offer is now renamed into Wind Veil and reduces all spell damage taken by 15% for 12 seconds, exactly how long the cooldown of the kick is. And since we are using Farseer talking points to talk about the basic class talents, Frost Shock is now a utility spell since Icefury has gone. For Stormbringer, things changed a bit more. First of all, your Tempests will now proc randomly with a 0.3% chance per Maelstrom spent instead of every 300 Maelstrom, with a capstone Awakening Storms doubling that chance. This was done so you don't have to track yet another stacking buff to know when the next Tempest is. And losing yet another separate damage proc that's just there is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. WoW has too many little passives that proc little damage zaps all over the place, making numbers on your screen seem pointless because you never know what number you're looking at. Arc Discharge now makes Tempest give you a Stormkeeper charge, once again to reduce complexity. Here we actually have the 3 new nodes. The first one making your Storm Elemental summoned by Stormkeeper to last longer, and Stormkeeper to also give you 10 Maelstrom. Natural Gift gives you 2% nature damage, meh. But Descending Skies makes Ascendance give you an immediate Tempest to consume, similar to the current tier set if I am correct. Oh, and Rolling Thunder doesn't give you a Stormkeeper charge every 50 seconds, but rather reduce Stormkeeper's cooldown by 15 seconds. This accomplishes 2 good things. One is you don't need an aura tracker for that 50-second timer to know when it's coming, and the second, the cooldown reduction works better with the new Storm Elemental. The playstyle is where I actually drew the conclusion that this version of the Elemental Shaman should be the standard comparison for all class and spec reworks that we get in Midnight. Every spell actually feels impactful, from the big spenders to flame shocks and lava bursts to even the presence of your elementals next to you. You have way fewer procs and buffs to track that will make the need of a Weakara style add-ons or your UI enhancements almost pointless. Actually, I'm not sure if you need to track anything outside maybe the cooldowns of your main DPS abilities like Stormkeeper and Ascendance. Having also fewer procs of instant empowered spells feels less overwhelming to juggle and spin so many plates at the same time. Oh my god, this is so good. Granted, that was part of the skill expression, but we are clearly moving into a new world of combat, and not having to read Weakaras to know which one of my 4 spinning plates to send out is a godsend, since I only have 1 spinning plate at a time. One thing people that have been playing Mists of Pandaria have pointed out was the fact that in Mob Classic, abilities felt great to press again. Your damage came from the button you just pressed. Fancy that. Granted, Elemental didn't have this problem as much as other specs on live, but after testing a whole bunch and playing all specs on retail, I have to say that it feels great to press a button and for shit to actually happen instead of me just steadily, constantly, always building up to yet another proc or another damage window. I played and tested Elemental on stream, to the point where it's looking like a potential main for Midnight for me. Hop on over to twitch.tv/Marcelian&Flame and hang out, chat, do dungeons and raids with us, and see me lose my mind over the new dungeons we are going to be playing. Oh my god, this model looks so good! Give me a money, trolls, and I'll give you all my money! Oh, look at this! Oh, the totem on the back is so good! The purpose of this section is to consolidate first the playstyle when building it in a specific way, but also showcase some build crafting that you can do without having to rely on reading guides or watching YouTube class videos from some guys talking shit for 10 minutes. The talents this time around make it more intuitive to go a specific way that you envision your elemental to be. I played both, and to be honest, for the first time, Farseer felt way better to play in dungeons than Stormkeeper. It also felt way better to play with the new changes to flame shocks and lava bursts. Not that Farseer necessarily has to be played with those fire talents, but when you put it side by side with Stormkeeper, it kind of feels like that's what it should do for the unwritten thematic symmetry. If anything, Farseer wants to give you the freedom to choose your build, since your engine behind the hero talents is tied to Stormkeeper, which at this point is a neutral ability and not something reliant on you going any one way to a specific side of the talent tree. Stormbringer clearly wants you to go down the Lightning Rod route, which naturally makes stuff like Echoes of the Great Sunring more accessible, giving you a similar playstyle with the current dungeon builds for Elemental on dive servers. One that doesn't need you to have weak auras to track things. Although I wish we could have a little doodad around our character for Echoes of the Great Sunring, since I totally forgot to play it while enjoying the new toys in Voltaic Blaze and the new Stormbringer talents. There are still some questionable talents that are hard to parse without number crunching and theory crafting. Stuff like Thunderstrike Ward seems to want to make things simple and not worry about a scaling aura that Elemental Resonance gives, but the small amount of damage procs it gives seems to be the exact same thing we want to stray away from. The concept of enhancing your shield is really cool, and I hope it stays, but it's just not intuitively strong or worth from a quick glance. And if we will live in a world where Shaman only has Ancestral Shift as a defensive, since Earth Elemental is a bit relative in its role as a secondary defensive, Primal Elementalist will always remain a metaphorical gun that you can shoot yourself in the foot with if it makes Earth Elemental dispel your fire and even Storm Elementals while casted. Also, we need the other nodes enabled to properly theorycraft actual builds. I kind of gave my impressions of the spec throughout this video, but to condense them properly, Earth Elemental needs a second pass at its purpose. The concept is cool, and I love summoning Elemental Guardians to help me with different aspects of gameplay, but its design is contradictory. It's taunting mobs around me and also making me tankier. If it's taunting mobs around me, what's the point in me being tankier? And when it taunts mobs, it dies quick in content where the defensives it provides would be relevant, outside maybe raids where the taunt doesn't work. The taunt is an amazing utility for groups, especially in dungeons, but its role seems to not be really clear. Additionally, maybe more of a Shaman generic feedback than anything else, the usage of totems has been criminally low over the years. It used to be a core fantasy for every Shaman spec, but with the loss of Liquid Magma Totem, realistically, I have 3 totems: a stun, a speed, and a niche utility totem that I use once every 3 weeks when it's actually helpful in whatever content I end up doing. The pruning of rotational abilities is fine, but personally would like more options on utility and class expression, since all of those are situational and not overloading on your cognitive load. But the final conclusion remains. It felt absolutely great to play, and I didn't for 1 second felt the need to use an add-on to tell me that I was playing inefficiently. I hope more specs can hit this balance between skill expression and approachability, since some of them went a bit too far the other way, one of which is clearly Beast Mastery Hunter, for which we already have a video ready for you right here. It's not inherently bad, but it has been simplified a bit too much. Or maybe you disagree. You won't know until you watch the video though.